The Galactic Council chambers buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from 47 species gathered for an emergency session. Admiral Zethkar of the Vorthan Empire stood at the central podium, his scaled hide gleaming under the harsh artificial lights. His four eyes swept across the assembled delegates, noting the fear in their expressions. "The situation has become desperate," Zethkar announced, his voice carrying through the vast chamber via neural translators. "The Devourers have consumed 12 more systems in the past lunar cycle. Our combined fleets cannot stop their advance." Murmurs of despair rippled through the crowd. The Christine representative, a being of living mineral, chimed in with crystalline tones. "Our calculations indicate total galactic consumption within 2 standard years if current patterns continue. The Devourers had appeared from the void between galaxies 6 months ago. Massive biomechanical entities that stripped entire worlds of all organic and inorganic matter, converting it into more of their kind. They moved through space like a plague, leaving nothing but empty vacuum in their wake." "What of the humans?" asked Ambassador Veltar of the Aquatic Federation, her gills fluttering nervously. "Their military was considered formidable before the war began." Zethkar's expression darkened. "Human space fell 3 weeks ago. Their homeworld, Earth, was among the first consumed. We received no distress calls, no refugee ships. Complete silence." The chamber fell into somber quiet. Humanity had been a relatively new addition to the Galactic Council, having achieved faster-than-light travel only 50 years prior. Despite their short time among the stars, they had impressed many with their adaptability and fierce independence. Their military, while smaller than the major powers, had earned respect through several conflicts with pirate fleets and rogue AI networks. "Then we truly are alone," whispered the ethereal representative, its gaseous form shimmering with despair. Unknown to the assembled delegates, deep within the station's maintenance corridors, a figure in dark clothing moved silently through the shadows. The person wore a simple jumpsuit marked with maintenance department insignia, completely unremarkable among the thousands of service workers who kept the massive station operational. Dr. Sarah Chen paused at a junction, checking her handheld scanner. The device showed no life signs nearby, confirming her isolation. She had been working as a maintenance technician on the Galactic Council station for 2 months, her credentials perfectly forged, her background thoroughly fabricated. In reality, Sarah was a xenobiologist and former military intelligence officer. She was also one of the last free humans in the galaxy, part of a secret network that had been preparing for this moment, long before the Devourers arrived. Sarah accessed a hidden panel behind a ventilation grate, revealing sophisticated monitoring equipment. Multiple screens showed feeds from throughout the station, including the main council chamber where the emergency session continued. She listened to the discussions while simultaneously uploading data to a secure quantum relay. The truth about humanity's fate was far more complex than the galaxy believed. Earth had indeed fallen, but not in the way anyone imagined. The Devourers had consumed the planet, but they had found something unexpected in human space that changed everything. Sarah touched her earpiece, activating an encrypted communication channel. "Phoenix to Nest. Council session confirms they believe us extinct. Moving to Phase 2. A voice crackled back through quantum encryption. "Copy, Phoenix. Intel packages are being distributed to all active agents. Remember, timing is critical. The galaxy's survival depends on maintaining the illusion until we're ready." Through her monitors, Sarah watched as the council debate grew more heated. Some species advocated for evacuation beyond the galactic rim, while others pushed for a final desperate assault on the Devourer fleet. None of them suspected that their salvation might come from a species they believed to be extinct. Sarah began uploading a virus into the station's communication array, one designed to create subtle delays and gaps in certain transmissions. These gaps would be filled with coded information, transmitted to human agents scattered throughout the galaxy. Each agent had been placed months or even years before the Devourer invasion, embedded so deeply in alien societies that their true nature remained hidden. The plan had been decades in development, born from humanity's natural paranoia and their uncomfortable position as newcomers in an ancient galactic community. While other species saw humans as eager but naive participants in galactic civilization, Earth's leadership had quietly prepared for scenarios ranging from political betrayal to existential threats. The Devourer invasion had triggered the most extreme of these contingency plans. Operation Hidden Power had been activated the moment long-range sensors detected the approaching threat. Thousands of humans had been evacuated to hidden bases throughout the galaxy, while others remained behind to maintain the illusion of a normal human response to the crisis. When the Devourers reached Earth, they found a planet seemingly full of normal human activity. The population appeared to fight desperately against the invasion, using conventional weapons and standard military tactics. To any observer, including the Devourers themselves, it looked like humanity's final stand. But the humans who died defending Earth were volunteers, and their seemingly futile resistance served a crucial purpose. Hidden among the planet's population were advanced scanning devices that recorded every detail of the Devourer attack. How they moved, how they communicated, how they converted matter, and most importantly, how they could be stopped. The real human population watched from hidden bases as their homeworld was consumed, knowing that their sacrifice would provide the intelligence needed to defeat the invaders. The data collected during Earth's fall had been transmitted in real time to research stations hidden in nebulae and asteroid fields throughout the galaxy. Sarah completed her upload and began moving toward her next objective. In 12 hours, the Galactic Council would receive what appeared to be a routine maintenance report about minor system glitches. Hidden within that report would be the activation codes that would begin humanity's emergence from the shadows. The galaxy believed humanity was extinct, which made humans the perfect secret weapon. No one suspected them, no one watched for them, and no one prepared defenses against them. The Devourers had shown their hand by consuming Earth, revealing their capabilities and limitations. Now it was time for humanity to return the favor. As Sarah disappeared into the station's depths, the council chamber continued its desperate deliberations, unaware that salvation walked among them in the form of a simple maintenance worker. The tide of war was about to turn, but first the galaxy would need to learn just how dangerous humans could be when they stopped playing by everyone else's rules. Commander Marcus Stone crouched behind the twisted wreckage of a Vorthan cruiser, his breathing controlled despite the chaos surrounding him. The battle for the Kepler station had been raging for 6 hours, and the combined galactic fleet was losing badly. Devourer bioships swarmed through space like metallic locusts, their adaptive hulls deflecting most conventional weapons. Through his scope, Marcus watched a group of Aquatic Federation soldiers attempt to establish a defensive position near the station's primary reactor. Their formation was textbook perfect, their equipment state-of-the-art, but they were fighting yesterday's war against tomorrow's enemy. Marcus activated his comm unit, switching to a frequency that officially didn't exist. Ghost 7 to all Phantoms. Target-rich environment. Begin harvest protocol. Across the battlefield, 17 other figures acknowledged the transmission. To outside observers, they appeared to be ordinary soldiers from various species, their uniforms and equipment perfectly matching their supposed origins. In reality, they were human special forces operatives who had spent years perfecting alien mannerisms, speech patterns, and combat techniques. The harvest protocol was simple in concept but devastating in execution. Rather than fighting the Devourers directly, the human agents would gather detailed tactical intelligence while allowing the aliens to exhaust themselves against the enemy. Every weapon impact, every defensive maneuver, every adaptation the Devourers made was being recorded and transmitted to hidden human analysis centers. Marcus watched through his scope as a Devourer assault form approached the Aquatic Federation position. The creature stood 3 meters tall, its biomechanical frame shifting and flowing like liquid metal. Sensor spines emerged from its back, analyzing the defender's weapons before the creature's arm transformed into a particle cannon. The first shot vaporized 2 Federation soldiers instantly. The survivors scattered, their training taking over as they sought cover behind debris. Marcus could have warned them about the Devourer's next move, having observed the pattern dozens of times before, but revealing that knowledge would compromise his cover. The creature's torso split open, releasing a swarm of smaller biomechanical units that began flanking the Federation position. Marcus recorded everything, noting how the Devourers coordinated their attacks and adapted to different tactical situations. "Go 7, this is Control," came a voice through his earpiece. "Priority intelligence update. Analysis of Earth data has yielded breakthrough findings. Devourers show consistent vulnerability to specific electromagnetic frequencies when combined with kinetic impact. Marcus smiled grimly. The sacrifice of Earth was finally bearing fruit. Hidden research stations throughout the galaxy had been working around the clock to analyze the data collected during humanity's apparent final stand. Every piece of Devourer technology that had touched Earth's surface had been secretly scanned, cataloged, and studied. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Human children's toys. Earth's final transmission had included what appeared to be random civilian footage, including scenes of Devourer bioforms accidentally stepping on electronic toys during their ground assault. Sharp-eyed analysts had noticed that certain toys caused brief but measurable disruptions in the creature's biomechanical systems. The toys used a specific combination of electromagnetic pulse and physical vibration to create sound effects. When scaled up and weaponized, this combination proved devastatingly effective against Devourer biotechnology. Their adaptive systems couldn't compensate for both forms of attack simultaneously. Marcus relayed the intelligence to his team using coded battlefield communications. To anyone monitoring the channels, it would sound like routine tactical updates between allied units. In reality, 18 human agents were now coordinating the galaxy's first effective anti-Devourer strategy. The plan required precise timing. The human agents would guide allied forces into positions where they could test the new tactics without revealing the source of their intelligence. Any success would be attributed to luck or the ingenuity of alien commanders. Lieutenant Sarah Kim, operating under the identity of a Christine engineer, was positioned near the station's communications array. Her crystalline exoskeleton was a masterpiece of human engineering, indistinguishable from genuine Christine bioarmor. She had spent 2 years learning to move and speak like a native Christine, even mastering their unique harmonic communication methods. "Engineering team to tactical command," she transmitted, her voice perfectly mimicking Christine tonal patterns. "I have an idea for modifying our pulse weapons. If we combine them with kinetic charges using resonance frequency 774, we might achieve better penetration." The suggestion appeared to come from desperate improvisation by an alien engineer, but it was actually part of a carefully orchestrated plan. Throughout the battlefield, other human agents were making similar suggestions, each one designed to introduce elements of the anti-Devourer weapon system without revealing its true source. Sergeant David Park had infiltrated a Vorthan assault unit, his appearance altered through advanced genetic therapy to match Vorthan physiology. His scaled hide and four-eyed vision were the result of months of preparation. But the real challenge had been learning to think like a Vorthan warrior. "Squad Leader Park to command," he transmitted in perfect Vorthan military dialect. "Request permission to test experimental ammunition. Our standard rounds are ineffective, but I believe rapid-fire kinetic bursts might work better if synchronized with electromagnetic pulses." The requests seemed to come from multiple sources across the battlefield, creating the impression that various alien species were independently discovering the same tactical solutions. In reality, it was a coordinated effort to disseminate human intelligence without revealing its origin. Admiral Zethkar, commanding the defense from the station's battle bridge, found himself receiving multiple similar suggestions from different units. The coincidence was remarkable, but in the chaos of battle, such things sometimes happened. Desperate situations often led to innovative thinking. "All units implement suggested modifications immediately," Zethkar ordered. "We have nothing to lose and everything to gain." The first test came when a modified Christine pulse weapon struck a Devourer assault form. Instead of the usual minimal damage, the creature's biomechanical frame began to convulse violently. The electromagnetic pulse disrupted its adaptive systems, while the kinetic impact prevented it from compensating. Within seconds, the creature collapsed as its internal systems failed catastrophically. Cheers erupted across the communication channels as word spread. For the first time since the war began, they had found a way to hurt the Devourers effectively. What they didn't know was that this breakthrough was the result of humanity's greatest deception. Marcus watched as Allied forces began implementing the new tactics with increasing confidence. The tide of battle was turning exactly as planned. But this was only the beginning. The real test would come when the Devourers adapted to these new tactics, forcing humanity to reveal progressively more advanced countermeasures. The key was to make each revelation seem like a natural progression, of alien ingenuity rather than the systematic unveiling of a comprehensive anti-devourer strategy. Humanity's survival depended on remaining hidden, while simultaneously saving the galaxy that believed them extinct. As Marcus prepared to move to his next position, he reflected on the irony of the situation. The galaxy's salvation was coming from the species they thought had been completely destroyed. Soon they would learn that reports of humanity's death had been greatly exaggerated. Dr. Elena Vasquez moved through the corridors of Research Station Omega-7 with practiced efficiency, her movements betraying none of the excitement building within her. To her ethereal colleagues, she appeared to be just another energy-based researcher, her containment suit hiding her true biological nature beneath layers of sophisticated holographic projection. The station hung in the depths of the Horsehead Nebula, officially conducting theoretical research into quantum consciousness. In reality, it was one of 12 hidden human facilities working to crack the deepest secrets of devourer technology. The breakthrough Elena carried in her datapad would change everything. Dr. Velnara called her research partner, a genuine ethereal named Zeshmara, whose gaseous form shimmered with curiosity. "Have you completed the analysis of the quantum resonance patterns?" Elena nodded, her holographic projection perfectly mimicking ethereal mannerisms. "The data is remarkable, colleague Zeshmara. I believe we have discovered something that will interest the Galactic Research Council greatly." For 3 months, Elena had been working alongside Zeshmara to analyze fragments of devourer biotechnology captured during the Kepler station battle. The ethereal scientist believed they were conducting routine research into alien technology. Elena knew they were developing humanity's ultimate weapon. The fragments had been deliberately delivered to various research stations throughout the galaxy through carefully orchestrated coincidences. A damaged devourer scout ship here, battlefield debris there, each piece seemingly discovered by accident but actually placed by human intelligence networks. Elena's analysis had revealed the crucial weakness that Earth's sacrifice had only hinted at. The Devourer's biotechnology was controlled by a form of quantum consciousness that existed partially outside normal space-time. This consciousness could adapt to almost any threat by shifting its quantum state. But it had one fatal flaw. The quantum consciousness existed in a state of constant entanglement with every other devourer entity. This network was their greatest strength, allowing instant adaptation and coordination across vast distances. But it was also their greatest vulnerability. If someone could introduce the right kind of quantum virus into the network, it would propagate instantly to every devourer in existence. Creating such a virus required an understanding of quantum consciousness that exceeded even the most advanced galactic civilizations. Fortunately, humanity had been secretly developing quantum consciousness research for decades, hidden within seemingly innocent academic projects on Earth. Elena activated her private communication system, using quantum encryption that appeared to be standard ethereal technology. Phoenix 7 to Nest, packages ready for delivery. Confirm green light for final phase. The response came instantly. Confirmed Phoenix 7, all stations report ready. Begin implementation protocol 77 Alpha. Elena began uploading her research to the station's main database, but with subtle modifications. The data would appear to show that the quantum virus was a naturally occurring phenomenon that could be weaponized with the right technology. The ethereals and other species would believe they were developing their own solution, never suspecting that humans had designed the virus specifically for this purpose. Meanwhile, in the Vorthan home system, Captain Jack Morrison stood on the bridge of what appeared to be a captured human vessel. The ship's registration identified it as the UES Defiance, one of Earth's last surviving battleships. To the Vortan fleet commanders, it was a tragic reminder of humanity's failed resistance. In reality, the Defiance was the most advanced warship ever constructed, built in secret over the past 5 years in hidden shipyards throughout the galaxy. Its human crew had spent months preparing for this moment, learning to act like traumatized survivors while secretly coordinating the galaxy's defense. "Admiral Zethkar, this is Captain Morrison of the Defiance," Jack transmitted, his voice carrying just the right note of weary desperation. "We managed to escape Earth's destruction with critical intelligence about devourer weaknesses. Request permission to share our findings with your science teams." The irony was perfect. The supposedly defeated humans were offering to help save the galaxy with intelligence they claimed to have gathered during their defeat. In reality, they were preparing to reveal technologies and strategies that had been developed specifically for this war. Zethkar's response came immediately. "Captain Morrison, your survival gives us hope. Any intelligence you possess could be crucial to our defense. Please transmit your findings immediately." Jack smiled as he began uploading carefully prepared data packages. Each piece of information was designed to appear like desperate intelligence gathered during humanity's final hours, but it was actually part of a comprehensive battle plan developed over decades of preparation. The intelligence included detailed specifications for improved weapons, tactical formations designed specifically to counter Devourer strategies, and defensive technologies that could protect entire star systems. To the aliens, it would seem like humanity had died learning how to defeat their enemies. To the humans, it was the beginning of their counterattack. On a dozen other ships throughout the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Human vessels that had supposedly escaped destruction were arriving at alien worlds, their crews offering intelligence and assistance. Each ship carried refugees who were actually some of humanity's best military analysts, engineers, and strategists. The Christine Collective was particularly receptive to human assistance. Their logical nature made them quick to recognize the value of the intelligence being offered. Dr. Sarah Kim, still maintaining her Christine identity, was among the first to implement the new defensive technologies on their worlds. "The human data confirms our theoretical models," she reported to the Christine High Council, her harmonic voice perfectly modulated. "If we implement these modifications to our planetary defense grids, we should achieve a 97% improvement in effectiveness against Devourer assault patterns." What the Christine didn't know was that the modifications were actually human technology. Designed specifically for Christine systems, the defense grids would work perfectly, but they would also serve as relay stations for a galaxy-wide communication network that only humans could access. Similar scenarios were unfolding across dozens of worlds. Human agents, some maintaining alien identities and others posing as human refugees, were systematically introducing advanced technologies and strategies throughout the galaxy. Each introduction appeared to be a natural response to the crisis, but together they formed a comprehensive defense network under human control. The final piece of the puzzle was about to fall into place. Elena's quantum consciousness virus was spreading through academic networks under the guise of theoretical research. Human refugee ships were distributing military intelligence that would transform the galaxy's defensive capabilities, and throughout it all, humanity remained officially extinct. Dr. Elena prepared to transmit her final research data to the Galactic Research Council. The quantum virus was complete, disguised as a naturally occurring phenomenon that clever alien scientists had learned to weaponize. Within hours, research stations throughout the galaxy would begin implementing the technology, never suspecting that they were deploying humanity's ultimate weapon. The Devourers had made a critical error in consuming Earth. They had revealed their capabilities while believing they had eliminated their greatest threat. Soon they would learn that humanity's apparent destruction had been the opening move in a game they never knew they were playing. Elena smiled as she watched her holographic projection flicker momentarily, a reminder of how thoroughly humans had infiltrated the galaxy. The next phase would test whether their deception could hold long enough to save everyone who believed them dead. The Devourer hive mind experienced something it had never felt before: confusion. Across 17 star systems, its biomechanical armies were encountering resistance that defied all previous patterns. The lesser species had somehow developed weapons and tactics that specifically countered Devourer advantages, as if they understood the hive mind's deepest secrets. In the Altair system, a Vorthan fleet had achieved the impossible. Using modified pulse weapons and coordinated electromagnetic attacks, they had completely destroyed a Devourer harvesting fleet. The bioships that should have adapted within minutes had instead suffered cascading system failures. The hive mind directed more resources toward understanding this development. Through the quantum consciousness network that connected every Devourer entity, it analyzed the battle data from thousands of engagements. The pattern was disturbing. The lesser species were not randomly discovering weaknesses. They were systematically exploiting vulnerabilities that the hive mind had kept carefully hidden. Admiral Zethkar stood in the command center of the newly established Galactic Defense Network, watching tactical displays that showed victories across multiple fronts. The transformation had been remarkable. In just 2 weeks, the combined fleets had gone from desperate last stands to coordinated counterattacks. "Admiral," reported his tactical officer, a Christian named Kethra, whose crystalline form chimed with excitement. "The Proxima defense grid reports complete success. The Devourer assault fleet has been destroyed with minimal losses to our forces." Zethkar nodded, but his expression remained troubled. The victories were welcome, but they raised uncomfortable questions. The sudden improvement in galactic defenses seemed too coordinated, too perfect. It was as if someone with comprehensive knowledge of Devourer weaknesses was orchestrating their resistance. "What of the human survivors?" he asked. "Their intelligence has been invaluable, but I find myself wondering how they learned so much about our enemies in such a short time." The question had been bothering military leaders throughout the galaxy. The human refugee ships had provided incredibly detailed intelligence about Devourer tactics, technology, and weaknesses. For a species that had supposedly been caught off guard and quickly overwhelmed, they seemed remarkably well informed about their enemies. Captain Jack Morrison stood before the Galactic Defense Council, delivering what appeared to be a routine intelligence briefing. His uniform was properly worn and weathered, his demeanor appropriately grim for a survivor of humanity's destruction. None of the assembled alien officials suspected they were listening to one of the finest military strategists in human history. "Based on our observations during Earth's final days," Jack said, his voice steady despite the supposed trauma, "we believe the Devourers have a critical weakness in their command structure. If we can disrupt their quantum consciousness network with a specifically tuned electromagnetic pulse, we might be able to cause system-wide failures." The briefing continued for 2 hours, with Jack providing detailed technical specifications that had supposedly been gathered by desperate human scientists during their final battle. In reality, every piece of information was part of humanity's master plan, developed over years of secret research. Dr. Elena Vasquez listened to the briefing from her position among the ethereal delegation, her holographic projection betraying none of her satisfaction. The quantum virus she had developed was already spreading through Devourer networks, but it needed to be deployed simultaneously across the galaxy to prevent adaptation. The Council was unknowingly coordinating that deployment under the belief that they were implementing a weapon discovered by the extinct human race. The irony was perfect. Humanity was using its own apparent death as the ultimate cover for a galaxy-wide military operation. In hidden bases throughout the galaxy, human military commanders monitored the situation with growing excitement. Operation Hidden Power was approaching its climax. For months, human agents had been systematically introducing advanced technologies and strategies into alien military forces. Now those forces were ready to deliver the killing blow against the Devourers. Colonel Maria Santos commanded the most secret of these bases, hidden within an asteroid field in the Tau Ceti system. Her facility coordinated the activities of over 300 human agents scattered throughout the galaxy, each one maintaining deep cover while guiding alien forces toward victory. "All stations report ready," her communications officer announced. "The quantum virus has achieved 73% penetration of Devourer networks. Estimated time to full deployment 6 hours. Maria smiled grimly. The Devourers had made their greatest mistake when they consumed Earth. They had revealed their capabilities while believing they had eliminated their most dangerous enemy. Instead, they had triggered the activation of humanity's most ambitious deception. The quantum consciousness network that was the Devourer's greatest strength would become their downfall. Elena's virus was designed to propagate through the network, corrupting the quantum entanglement that allowed instant communication and adaptation. Once fully deployed, it would leave every Devourer entity isolated and vulnerable. But the virus was only part of the plan. Human agents had spent months positioning alien fleets in optimal configurations for a coordinated galaxy-wide assault. When the virus activated, those fleets would strike simultaneously, preventing the Devourers from adapting to the attack. Commander Marcus Stone crouched in the observation deck of a Vorthan battlecruiser, watching as the fleet prepared for what they believed would be a desperate assault on a Devourer stronghold. The alien commanders had no idea they were participating in humanity's masterpiece of strategic deception. Through his earpiece, Marcus heard the countdown begin. All Phantoms, this is Control. Final phase initiation in T-minus 60 seconds. Remember, this is what we've been working toward. Make it count. Across the galaxy, human agents prepared for the moment of revelation. For months, they had guided alien forces while remaining hidden. Now they would coordinate the final assault while still maintaining their deception. If successful, the galaxy would be saved by forces that believed humans were extinct. The Devourer hive mind detected the first signs of system corruption as the quantum virus reached critical penetration. Alarms spread through the consciousness network as biomechanical entities began experiencing communication failures. The virus was spreading faster than any countermeasures could be deployed. For the first time in its existence, the hive mind experienced fear. The virus was not a random occurrence or a natural phenomenon. It was too sophisticated, too specifically designed to exploit Devourer weaknesses. Someone had planned this attack with intimate knowledge of Devourer technology and capabilities. As quantum entanglement networks began collapsing throughout the galaxy, the hive mind reached a chilling conclusion. The lesser species had not randomly discovered how to fight back. They were being guided by an intelligence that understood the Devourers better than the Devourers understood themselves. But that was impossible. The only species with such knowledge had been completely consumed. Earth had fallen and humanity was extinct. The hive mind's own sensors had confirmed the total destruction of human civilization, unless Dr. Elena Vasquez watched her instruments as the quantum virus achieved full penetration of Devourer networks. Around her, ethereal scientists celebrated what they believed was their greatest achievement. They had no idea they were witnessing the culmination of humanity's most elaborate deception. In 6 minutes, coordinated fleets throughout the galaxy would begin their assault on isolated and vulnerable Devourer forces. In 7 minutes, the war would effectively be over. And in 8 minutes, the galaxy would begin to suspect that reports of humanity's death had been greatly exaggerated. The first Devourer bioship died in complete silence, its quantum consciousness severed from the hive mind by Elena's virus. Across 17 star systems, the same scene repeated as billions of biomechanical entities suddenly found themselves alone for the first time in their existence. Admiral Zethkar watched his tactical display in amazement as Devourer forces throughout the galaxy simply stopped moving. The massive bioships that had seemed unstoppable just moments before now drifted helplessly in space, their adaptive systems failing one by one. All units commence final assault, he ordered, his voice carrying across hundreds of communication channels. Throughout the galaxy, Allied fleets moved forward to engage an enemy that could no longer coordinate its defense. The results were devastating. Devourer entities that had survived by instantly adapting to new threats found themselves unable to share information or coordinate responses. Weapons that had been useless before now tore through biomechanical hulls with terrifying efficiency. Commander Marcus Stone watched from his position aboard the Vorthan cruiser as the enemy fleet was systematically destroyed. The aliens around him cheered with each successful strike, believing they were witnessing their own triumph. Marcus knew better. This was humanity's victory, achieved through the greatest deception in galactic history. His earpiece crackled with encrypted communications from human agents throughout the galaxy. Ghost 7, this is Phoenix 4. Aquatic Federation fleet reports complete success in the Vega system. Enemy forces eliminated with 0 friendly casualties. Ghost 7, Phoenix 12 reporting. Christine Defense Grid has neutralized all Devourer entities in their sector. The virus is working perfectly. One by one, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The coordinated assault was proceeding exactly as planned. Human agents who had spent months positioning, alien fleets were now guiding them to total victory while remaining completely hidden. Dr. Elena Vasquez allowed herself a moment of satisfaction as she watched the quantum virus complete its work. Around her, ethereal scientists were frantically analyzing the phenomenon, trying to understand how their theoretical weapon had achieved such spectacular results. Colleague Velnara, said Zeshmara, her gaseous form shimmering with excitement. Your quantum consciousness theory has exceeded all projections. The virus has completely severed the Devourer network. This is the greatest scientific achievement in galactic history. Elena nodded, maintaining her holographic disguise while secretly coordinating with human command centers. The galaxy's scientists would spend years studying the quantum virus, never suspecting that it had been designed by the supposedly extinct human race. In the Tau Ceti asteroid field, Colonel Maria Santos watched global tactical displays that showed the scope of humanity's victory. Every major devourer concentration was being systematically destroyed by alien fleets using human-designed tactics and weapons. Colonel, her operations officer, reported, "We're receiving confirmation from all sectors. The devourer hive mind appears to be completely fragmented. Individual entities are reverting to basic survival. Protocols without coordination or adaptation. Capabilities," Maria smiled as she activated a galaxy-wide communication channel that only human agents could access. "All Phantoms, this is Control. Primary objectives achieved. Begin Phase 6. Revelation Protocol." Phase 6 was the most delicate part of Operation Hidden Power. For months, humanity had remained hidden while saving the galaxy from extinction. Now they needed to gradually reveal their survival without causing panic or suspicion about their deception. The revelation would begin with the supposed discovery of additional human survivors in remote locations. Ships that had allegedly been in deep space during Earth's destruction would begin returning with tales of desperate journeys through unexplored regions. Research stations that had supposedly been cut off from communication would re-establish contact with news of their survival. Captain Jack Morrison stood before the Galactic Defense Council, preparing to deliver the news that would begin humanity's emergence from the shadows. His uniform was still that of a desperate survivor, but his demeanor had shifted subtly toward confidence. "Honored council members," he began, "I have received an extraordinary communication. It appears that more human ships survived Earth's destruction than we initially believed. Long-range sensors are detecting multiple human vessels emerging from the galactic rim." The council chamber erupted in surprised murmurs. The survival of additional humans was welcome news, but it raised questions about how so many ships had escaped detection during the initial evacuation. Admiral Zethkar leaned forward in his chair. "Captain Morrison, how many survivors are we discussing? And how did they avoid devourer detection for so long?" Jack had prepared for these questions. "Preliminary reports suggest several thousand individuals scattered across multiple deep space facilities and exploration vessels. They've been hiding in nebulae and asteroid fields, maintaining radio silence to avoid detection. The explanation was plausible enough to avoid immediate suspicion while providing cover for the gradual revelation of humanity's true numbers. Over the coming weeks, more and more humans would emerge from hiding, each with carefully prepared stories about their survival." Dr. Elena began preparing for her own revelation. Soon she would shed her ethereal disguise and emerge as a human scientist who had allegedly been conducting research in the deep nebula when Earth fell. Her quantum consciousness expertise would be attributed to desperate research conducted while in hiding. The transition needed to be seamless. The galaxy had to believe that the few thousand surviving humans had somehow developed advanced anti-devourer technologies through desperate innovation rather than systematic preparation. Any hint that humanity had planned for this conflict would raise uncomfortable questions about their apparent defeat. On Research Station Omega-7, Elena activated a hidden transmitter that would send a coded message to nearby systems. In a few hours, the message would be intercepted by galactic communication networks and decoded as a desperate plea for help from human survivors. "This is Dr. Elena Vasquez, of the human research vessel Determination," she would claim. "We have been hiding in the Horsehead Nebula since Earth's fall. We have developed weapons that can defeat the Devourers, but we need immediate assistance. Please respond if anyone receives this transmission." The message would be one of dozens being transmitted by human agents throughout the galaxy. Each would tell a similar story of survival, innovation, and desperate hope. Together, they would create the impression that scattered human survivors had independently developed the technologies that saved the galaxy. Commander Marcus Stone prepared to shed his alien disguise as well. Soon he would reveal himself as a human special forces officer who had allegedly been on a deep reconnaissance mission when Earth fell. His detailed knowledge of devourer tactics would be explained as intelligence gathered during months of desperate guerrilla warfare. The beauty of the deception was its simplicity. The galaxy wanted to believe that humanity had survived and contributed to their salvation. The alternative, that humans had deliberately faked their own extinction while orchestrating the galaxy's defense, was too paranoid to consider seriously. As the last Devourer bioships fell silent throughout the galaxy, Humanity prepared to emerge from the greatest deception in galactic history. They had saved everyone who believed them dead, using their own apparent extinction as the ultimate cover for military operations that spanned decades. The war was over, but the real test was just beginning. Could humanity maintain their deception while reintegrating into galactic society? Or would someone eventually discover the truth about Operation Hidden Power and the mysterious agent who had turned the tide of war? Admiral Zethkar stood in his command center, watching as the last Devourer strongholds fell to Allied forces. Victory had come from an impossible source, the ingenuity and sacrifice of a supposedly extinct species. As he prepared to address the galaxy with news of their salvation, he had no idea that humanity's greatest victory was still to come. 3 months after the end of the Devourer War, the Galactic Council convened for a celebration unlike any in recorded history. Representatives from across the galaxy gathered to honor the heroes who had saved them from extinction. At the center of it all sat a small delegation of human survivors, their presence both miraculous and humbling. Admiral Zethkar stood at the podium, addressing the assembled delegates with words that carried across the galaxy through quantum communication networks. Today we celebrate not just our victory over the Devourers, but the remarkable resilience of the human spirit. Though their world was lost, though their species faced extinction, they never gave up hope. In the human delegation, Captain Jack Morrison sat with appropriate solemnity, accepting the gratitude of species he had helped save while they believed him dead. Beside him, Dr. Elena Vasquez maintained her role as a survivor scientist, whose desperate research had provided the key to victory. The galaxy had embraced the story of human survival with enthusiasm. The idea that scattered survivors had developed anti-devourer technologies through desperate innovation was inspiring rather than suspicious. It fit perfectly with humanity's reputation for adaptability and determination. The quantum consciousness virus developed by Dr. Vasquez and her team, Zethkar continued, represents one of the greatest scientific achievements in galactic history. That such a breakthrough came from researchers working in hiding, with limited resources, speaks to the incredible ingenuity of the human spirit. Elena accepted the praise gracefully, knowing that her supposed colleagues were actually human agents who had maintained perfect cover throughout the deception. The galaxy would never know that the virus had been developed over years in secret facilities, specifically designed to combat the Devourer threat. Behind the scenes, humanity was conducting its own celebration. Colonel Maria Santos stood in the hidden command center in the Tau Ceti system, watching as the last human agents completed their extraction from deep cover positions. Operation Hidden Power had been a complete success. Final report, Colonel, her operations officer announced. All Phantoms have successfully transitioned to survivor status. 0 compromises detected. The deception remains intact. Maria nodded with satisfaction. Over 300 human agents had spent months infiltrating alien societies, guiding their militaries and coordinating their defense. Not one had been detected or compromised. They had saved the galaxy while remaining completely invisible. The transition to survivor status had been seamless. Agents who had posed as alien soldiers were now human refugees who had allegedly been hiding on remote worlds. Scientists who had maintained alien identities were now human researchers who had escaped Earth's destruction in deep space facilities. Commander Marcus Stone walked through the corridors of New Geneva Station, humanity's first official settlement since Earth's fall. To outside observers, it was a refugee facility where human survivors were rebuilding their civilization. In reality, it was a command center coordinating humanity's reintegration into galactic society. The station's design was deliberately modest, reflecting humanity's supposed reduced circumstances. But hidden within its structure were some of the most advanced facilities in the galaxy, continuing research into technologies that the aliens believed had been developed by desperate survivors. Marcus called Dr. Sarah Chen, the xenobiologist who had coordinated intelligence gathering from the Galactic Council station. She was now officially Dr. Sarah Chen, human survivor and expert on devourer biology. The Council is requesting a detailed briefing on our anti-devourer research. They want to establish joint research initiatives. Marcus smiled at the irony. The galaxy wanted to learn from humans how to fight the devourers, not knowing that humans had been teaching them all along. The joint research initiatives would allow humanity to continue guiding galactic defense development while maintaining the appearance of cooperation rather than leadership. In the months following the war, human survivors had been welcomed throughout the galaxy with unprecedented generosity. Species that had once viewed humanity as newcomers now treated them as honored guests whose sacrifice and ingenuity had saved everyone. The Christine Collective offered to help rebuild human civilization with advanced construction technology. The Aquatic Federation provided access to their most sophisticated research facilities. Even the traditionally isolationist ethereals opened their archives to human scholars. What none of them realized was that this generosity was providing humanity with unprecedented access to galactic resources and information. Human agents who had spent years working to infiltrate alien societies were now being invited in as honored guests. Dr. Elena Vasquez stood in the ethereal research complex on Kepler Prime, officially studying the quantum consciousness phenomenon she had discovered. Her former colleague Zeshmara worked beside her, eager to learn from the human who had supposedly developed the galaxy's salvation. Dr. Vasquez, Zeshmara said, her gaseous form shimmering with curiosity, "Your insights into quantum consciousness exceed our most advanced theories. How did you develop such understanding?" While isolated in the nebula, Elena provided the prepared answer about desperate research and brilliant intuition, while secretly documenting ethereal technology that humanity could adapt for future use. Every species in the galaxy was unknowingly sharing their most advanced knowledge with the humans they thought they were helping. The true scope of humanity's deception was staggering. They had not only survived the Devourer invasion, but had orchestrated the galaxy's defense from the shadows. Now they were using their apparent weakness to gain access to technologies and resources that would have taken centuries to acquire through normal diplomatic channels. In his private office on New Geneva Station, Captain Jack Morrison reviewed reports from human agents throughout the galaxy. The integration was proceeding perfectly. Humanity was stronger now than it had ever been before Earth's fall. With access to knowledge and resources beyond their previous imagination, a secure communication arrived from Admiral Patricia Hayes, the true commander of human forces who officially didn't exist. Operation Hidden Power has exceeded all projections. We now have comprehensive intelligence on every major galactic civilization and access to their most advanced technologies. Recommend transition to Phase 7, long-term positioning. Phase 7 would establish humanity's permanent place in the new galactic order. No longer would they be newcomers seeking acceptance from ancient civilizations. They would be the species that had saved the galaxy, deserving of respect and cooperation from everyone they had secretly protected. The plan was elegant in its long-term vision. Humanity would use their enhanced status to guide galactic development for generations to come. They would ensure that future threats were met with prepared defenses rather than desperate improvisation, and they would do it all while appearing to be grateful survivors rather than the architects of galactic security. Admiral Zethkar concluded his speech to thunderous applause from representatives of 47 species. Let us never forget the lesson of this war. In our darkest hour, salvation came from those we thought lost. The human survivors remind us that hope can survive even the greatest catastrophe. As the celebration continued, human agents throughout the galaxy maintained their roles as grateful survivors while secretly coordinating the next phase of their grand deception. They had turned the tide of war by appearing to be extinct. Now they would shape the galaxy's future by appearing to be weak. The Devourers had been utterly defeated, their quantum consciousness network destroyed beyond recovery. But more importantly, humanity had achieved something unprecedented in galactic history. They had saved everyone while gaining the trust, respect, and cooperation of every major civilization. The hidden power that had turned the tide of war was not just advanced technology or superior tactics. It was humanity's willingness to sacrifice their apparent strength for real influence, to accept the appearance of defeat in order to achieve total victory. As the celebrations continued throughout the galaxy, only a few hundred humans knew the complete truth about Operation Hidden Power. They had not just won a war, they had positioned humanity to guide and protect the galaxy for generations to come, and they had done it all while convincing everyone that they were the ones who needed protecting. The mysterious agents who had turned the tide of war would remain forever hidden, their identities known only to themselves and their controllers. They had saved the galaxy by appearing to die for it, and now they would protect it by appearing to serve it. In the end, humanity's greatest victory was not defeating the Devourers. It was proving that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe was the willingness to let others believe you were powerless.